Good morning and welcome to another school assembly. Now, normally in these assemblies, I would try to update you in regard to the developing plans regarding COVID-19 and the gradual relaxation of the lockdown rules, leading eventually towards school opening. I hope very much that in the next 10 days, we will be able to communicate further details of the school's plans for all elements of school opening in August. I am sure many of you are wanting to know more about when we will be back and able to return to school, what lessons will look like on your return, and whether hockey, rugby, netball, or a range of other autumn term activities will be happening. There is a great deal still to be planned over the next few weeks, and I very much hope that we will be able to shortly communicate more detailed plans of the school's approach to the relaxation of lockdown in July, August, and indeed September. I am very conscious also that many of you are reaching that point in the school year when tiredness creeps in and you are beginning to look forward to the summer holiday. Please be reassured that your teaching staff are very confident in the way that you have responded to this period of remote and online learning. And we feel sure that you will be able to continue your education in August with confidence and clarity and on the route towards success. For those of you who have struggled to access elements of the remote learning programme, I would continue to encourage you to speak to members of the year head team and talk through your issues. They are willing to provide assistance and help and guidance to make this process more easy for you. Please do not simply ignore your work and hope it will miraculously disappear. A period of remote learning like this actually provides a wonderful insight into how you naturally approach work without the direct oversight of a teacher in the room. It's been amazing and so uplifting to see so many of you engage in every aspect of our online programme, including the piping competition, the music competitions, the division chess competition, and indeed many of Mr. Mayor's quiz night extravaganzas. Congratulations to all of you who have coped so well with this very challenging circumstance. Following on from my challenge to you for last week in regard to choosing the top 10 songs that EA students would choose to be sung in school assemblies rather than the hymns that we choose, I am happy to report the progress so far. Thank you so much to those of you who have emailed in to me to give me your song choices. Please do continue to do so, and I will keep adding them to the list. Should your song already appear in the following top 10, but you have not yet written in, do not hesitate to recommend it again, because the more recommendations that each song gets, the higher up the chart that song moves. It's been a wonderful experience in receiving these emails, as it's shown me that I am actually an enormously trendy and fashionable young rector, and not the rapidly aging, decrepit, unfashionable person lacking all street smarts and fashion sense that my sons and wife describe me as. It's been wonderful to see so many of my songs making the top 10 list without me influencing the chart by purchasing thousands of my own record, as Justin Bieber and Ariana Grande are meant to have done. Let me just update you as to the running order in the top 10 favourite tracks for the year. In 10th place, Greatest Day by Take That. 9th, Take Me Home by John Denver. 8th, Don't Look Back in Anger, Oasis. 7th, Mamma Mia, Dancing Queen by ABBA. 6th, Blowing in the Wind, Bob Dylan. 5th, I'll Be There For You by the Rembrandts. 4th, YMCA by Village People. 3rd, Yesterday by the Beatles. 2nd, Imagine by John Lennon. And number 1, Sweet Caroline by Neil Diamond. Please do keep sending in these suggestions and I will compile a list for the end of term. Last week, I was lucky enough to listen to John Loughton from the Scran Academy as he talked to members of the various teams that he has working in kitchens across Edinburgh to provide meals for 1,500 vulnerable people within the city for whom COVID-19 has brought immeasurable challenges. He mentioned the fact that last week was Volunteer Week, the annual celebration of the contribution that millions of people make across the UK through volunteering. Of course, he was referencing his team of volunteers that have enabled the Scran Academy to produce 50,000 meals as of Thursday afternoon last week, a quite incredible achievement for his whole team. I was so proud of the members of our 7ths who have volunteered their time to help in this sensational work. Congratulations to all involved. During his presentations, John Loughton described the importance of being willing to stand up and be counted, particularly in the most difficult of times, when most others would rather sit. He explained that at the most difficult of times, it is important to act rather than to wait. That is certainly something that the Scran Academy has managed to achieve. Sometimes it is the human nature to wait, to watch, and act following the reassurance of others. Far harder is it to act quickly in the knowledge that acting is of the utmost importance. Using John's analogy, one would have hoped that the world at this moment would have united in the singular manner against the challenges and ravages of COVID-19. And it's certainly interesting to see how different countries around the world have reacted to the process of unlocking as this disease seems to recede. It's somewhat strange, therefore, to see the protests and riots and huge civil unrest that is unfolding not only in the United States, but are also becoming part of protests in this country as well. Black lives matter. They have always mattered and always will matter. The fact we, in this modern age of education, acceptance and tolerance, should still need to remind ourselves that Black Lives Matter is truly shocking. However, in the bubble in which we sometimes live, it can be too easy to focus on our own lives and forget the many who are not as fortunate to have as privileged, as supported, and as sheltered an existence. Yes, the world is facing a global pandemic and economic downturn, but with luck, these are short-lived events, whereas the racism and inequality that have led to the formation of the Black Lives Matter movement, being formed in 2013, are far more deeply rooted in history and the human psyche. Thank you so much to those students who have contacted the school to request these issues become a focus within our PSHE programme next year. They will. These issues are enormously important, and there are so many aspects of George Floyd's passing that are deeply troubling and truly shocking. In a free world that prides itself on justice and fairness for all, it is deeply upsetting to see the manner by which George Floyd met his death. The fact that his assault was captured on camera is beyond belief, but should no longer shock us, such as the regularity with which these things occur. One only has to consider the death of Ahmaud Arbery in February to see a case of history repeating itself. It is important to remember also that these are not isolated events, and those that have gone before George Floyd should never be forgotten. That his death should provoke such strong feeling and responses across the world is not surprising, given those who have also met tragic deaths in similar circumstances. Stephon Clark, Philando Castile, Alton Sterling, Tamir Rice, Michael Brown, Breonna Taylor, and of course Trayvon Martin, whose death prompted the Black Lives Matter movement. It's also important to remember that events such as these do not happen only in other countries, and one only has to consider the death of Sheku Bayo in Fife in 2015 to see a shocking similarity in his passing. Whilst no one can condone or accept looting or attacking members of a police force who are trying to maintain order, the raw and understandable passion and emotion that is evident in the protests that are unfolding show that there is a desperate and justified desire and need for true equality, where people are no longer judged by the colour of their skin and have the right to be treated as an equal at all times. The American Declaration of Independence, laid down in 1776, stated that all men are created equal, and yet here we are in 2020, and the evidence would still suggest that they are not. As a teacher, it is vital that we play our part in the education of our next generation, and I hope you all take close regard of what is happening and consider how we can all play a role in the ongoing and vitally important search for genuine equality for all humans, regardless of race, religion, creed, sexual orientation, or economic background. If the only positive thing that comes out of this period of history is a final acceptance that all people deserve to be treated equally, then that would be a truly wonderful thing. Perhaps there is a certain sense of serendipity that all this desperate call for fairness, equality and respect should be unfolding during what is Pride Month, another wonderful opportunity to truly recognise and celebrate the natural differences in each and every one of us, and to remind us all to look for the good in everybody at all times. Acceptance, tolerance, empathy, kindness, forgiveness and service are all values and character traits that will stand us in good stead as we face a post-COVID world. This period of global pandemic should, if anything, have united us in an understanding that it is so vital, more than ever, that we as a human species work together to overcome the challenges that face us ahead. It is only in supporting each other, valuing each other, and respecting each other that we might stand and face the future on equal terms. Have a great week.